What happens when Europe doubles down on fabs but runs out of their rare earths? When Nvidia chips become part of South Korean national AI plan? And when the global chip making depends as much on politics as it does on nanometers? This week we are connecting the dots because the semiconductor race is heating up faster than ever. Welcome to Chip Cycle by Diana. Here's what's on agenda today. GlobalFoundries expands in Germany with 1.1 billion in the new investment. German industry warns of deepening rare earth shortages. Nvidia and Samsung join forces to build South Korea AI backbone. Then, in our industry spotlight, we'll look at the new battle over tools and materials. And we'll close as usual with our chip of the week. Let's start in Dresden. Story number 1. GlobalFoundries German expansion. GlobalFoundries just announced 1.1 billion expansion of its Dresden fab, one of Europe's largest semiconductor facilities. The project, called Sprint, will lift output to more than 1 million wafers a year by 2028. It's part of the European Union Chips Act, a plan to strengthen European self-reliance in critical tech. Why does it matter? Europe isn't just funding fabs anymore, it's anchoring its own ecosystem. This expansion brings a new capacity, new job, and a new statement. Semiconductor sovereignty is becoming industrial policy. Story number 2. Germany's material bottleneck. Yet, even as the fabs expand, materials are tightening. The IFO Institute reports that 10.4% of German electronics and optical component suppliers face shortages in October, up from just 3% last quarter. The cause? China's tighter rare earth export rules and rising demands for high-purity materials. Why does it matter? Europe's chip revival depends on inputs it doesn't control. Without rare earths and critical materials, fab investments risk going idle. The chip race isn't just about wafers anymore. It's about who owns the raw materials. Story number 3. Nvidia and Samsung fuel South Korea's AI surge. Across Asia, the AI hardware race just leveled up. Nvidia will supply over 260,000 of its Blackwell AI chips to South Korea, powering everything from data centers to autonomous vehicle labs. Partners include Samsung Electronics, SK Group, and Hyundai Motor, all part of Seoul's national AI initiative. At the same time, Samsung confirmed talks with Nvidia to supply next-generation HBM4 memory, the high-bandwidth fuel for the Blackwell's GPUs. Why do we talk about it? Why does it matter? This isn't just a contract, it's an ecosystem deal. By aligning hardware, memory, and national strategy, South Korea is turning chips into the infrastructure and positioning itself as Asia's next AI superhub. Industry spotlight, tools and materials control. Let's zoom out. Behind every fab and AI chip sits a quiet but decisive race, controls of tools and materials. US and allied nations are tightening export rules after Chinese fabs bought 38 billion worth of chip-making tools last year. Europe is still struggling to secure rare earth supplies for its growing fabs, and China has expanded in rare earth export licenses to cover any downstream parts containing those materials. The bigger picture. The next stage of the chip war isn't just about who prints the smallest transistor. It's about who controls the inputs that make those transistors possible. Finally, the chip of the week. Our chip of the week is Nvidia's Blackwell GB200 Superchip, the silicon engine behind the South Korea's new infrastructure push, and one of the most advanced computing systems ever built. Each GB200 fuses 2 Blackwell GPUs, with a great CPU through Nvidia's NVLink 50 interconnect, allowing them to operate as one seamless AI engine. Built on TSMC's 4nm process and packing more than 200 billion transistors per GPU, it delivers up to 20 times higher AI inference performance than the previous Hopper generation, while cutting energy use by nearly 40%. But its real power lies in packaging. The chip integrates next-generation HBM4 memory, co-developed with Samsung and SK Hynix, stacked directly on the top of GPUs. This design gives it enormous bandwidth, the kind of the data throughput needed to train trillion-parameter models at the record speed. Blackwell isn't just a technical leap, it's a strategic one. By supplying more than 260,000 of these chips to South Korea, Nvidia is embedding US design leadership deep into Asia's fastest-growing AI ecosystem. At the same time, Samsung's role in producing HBM4 memory cements Korea's place as an indispensable part of the global AI supply chain. Together they show how architecture, memory, and geopolitics now move in sync. The GB200 is more than just a hardware. It's an infrastructure. It's a glimpse at what AI industrialization really looks like. Nations treating compute as a strategic resource and not just as a corporate asset. The Nvidia Blackwell GB200 Superchips mark the beginning of a new phase for the semiconductor, where the innovation, energy, and the global strategy collide. And that's why it's our chip of the week. That's all for this week's Chips Weekly by Diana. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your network. And connect with me, of course, on LinkedIn and X, Diana on Chips. Until next time, stay curious, stay sharp, and as always, stay chip aware.